starting back in 30th position and worked their way up to 5th place, and just doing a really good job. And, you know, we talked a little bit about our point leader out there, and it is Sterling Marlin. Those guys continue to struggle, but for some reason that team has normally had the ability to come in and make adjustments to their race car and get him back in the hunt before the end of the day. So he's really, don't count him out. He's got a long ways to go.
Marlin battling Jeff Green for that 25th spot, and Marlin has it at the moment. Let's go back upstairs, rejoin Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy.
And testament to that, Chris, is that Sterling has finished on the lead lap in all but one race this year and only missed one lap Bristol. Let's talk about the last group of young guns. We know who these guys are, but how about when Dale Jarrett, our race leader, was a young gun? Jarrett, when he won his first race, he was in his 30s. Terry Labonte won at age 23. Kyle Petty at 25. All these fellows were young guns. Darrell was 28 when he got his first win. They were the young guns. Some other fellas that are veterans now had to wait a while. Mark Martin won at age 30. Schrader 33. Dale Jarrett was 34 before he got the first win. Marlin and Spencer were even older.
Well, I think one of the statistics that jumps out at me, Larry, is that one I gave a little earlier. In 1996, here at Michigan, and this is just one racetrack, the average winner came from starting in the top 8. So it tells me there was probably 10 good teams. In the year 2002, the winners are coming from 15, the top 15. So I think we got twice as many good race cars as we had just 10 years ago.
And you know, I've said this a lot this week, also in those guys' defense. When they came along and was in their rookie season, they were either driving for a brand new race team or a team that was not that competitive. They weren't able to step into a Roger Penske car or a Rick Hendrick car. So they had to go through some growing pains with the race teams they were driving for.
Yeah, there were no 2- and 3-car teams then. Only Petty's had a 2- or 3-car team back in those days. The rest of us were lucky to have one race car, period.
Our points leader Sterling Marlin, Darrell, is in danger of going a lap down. We've been caution-free through 72 laps.
I mean, this is the man that won the race here in August, gave Dodge their first win after their comeback, and here on lap 72, he's about to go a lap down.
Well, I tell you, this team has surprised me here lately. They just really haven't been running all that well, even though they finished well last week at Pocono. They had some great pit strategy and allowed that to happen, but they look like they've been struggling here lately.
'73 complete. Dale Jarrett the leader, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, and Jeff Gordon running fourth. Dick Bergman.
That's the good part of the story. Jeff Gordon, who started 24th, has passed 20 cars. He is running fourth. But Mike, just after the first pit stop that he took, Gordon got on the radio and told his crew the car was way loose. We looked up and there was full bright sun over this whole racetrack. Then a few laps later, he called back on the radio and said, this thing has really gotten tight. We looked up, there were dark, heavy clouds over the racetrack. A few laps later, he called into the crew and said, hey, this car is pretty good. We looked up, it was a mixture of sun and clouds. Apparently, the weather, the overcast, the sun, and so forth is really affecting Jeff Gordon's car. Steve Burns.
Well, Dick, Tony Stewart is not happy with his race car at all. He's tight going in, loose from the center off on the last pit stop. They took the track bar down one round. They pulled a spring rubber out of the right rear spring. Stewart started 10th, currently 18th.
I mean, this racetrack is definitely a weather-sensitive racetrack, and you can have your car sitting up there to the point where it's maybe more weather-sensitive or temperature-sensitive than someone else's race car.
It always seemed to be like when my car was really, really good, nothing made it mad. You know, what tires, what weather, or anything. But when it was on that edge, like Larry's talking about, all it took was just a weather change or a small adjustment in the pits, and it would tip it over the edge, and you couldn't drive it anymore. And Jeff Gordon seems to float. He seems to flirt with that edge. He's either really, really good or something makes the car go off.
A look here at the beer can battle. Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt Jr., 12th and 13th. Now these cars are running about 23 seconds behind the leader.
About a half a lap. Yeah.
And we're about 8 laps away from the green flag pit window opening once again. We'll be back for pit stops.
Series on Fox, presented by Circuit City, is brought to you by Beechwood Aged Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, and refreshing taste known only to the king of beers.
Dale Jarrett and Bill Elliott have each led 31 laps, but Elliott apparently ran out of gas on his first fuel run, so he's got some ground to make up here.
But he knows how far he can go now.
Darrell, Mike, Larry, the guys, I've been watching the leader, Dale Jarrett, since the start of the race and kind of watching his lap times. The adjustments they made on that first stop have allowed him to pick up the pace almost a full 10 this late in the run, along with Jimmy Johnson, who I watched also make a track bar adjustment to free his car up a little bit. Both those cars are running faster in this second run of stops, you might say, than they were at the start of this race. And it's really giving a lot of the guys a fit. They're putting a lot of guys a lap down because they've made their cars so much better this close to halfway.
That's a hard field, bud. A little loose in the 3, but I'm good with that. Tied off at 2 right now. Starting to get tied off of, what's the 4, I guess. You're keeping pace with them, Jimmy. That's good, bud.
I love rookies. That turn, you know, that one down here on this end, which one's that, 4?
The one by the big grand.
Yeah, with all the people in it.
Last week at Pocono, it could have been 3, 4, or 6, depending on how you count them. So
it could be a little confusing.
But I tell you, Chad Canals, he has to be smart in what Jimmy's telling him there, because what he's saying, the car won't turn on the exit of either end, but the key thing is I'm a little free in, so you just have to be careful you don't free it up too much to help the exit and get you loose in. You can't drive a race car here loose in.
Oh, man, I'd scream louder about that than anything. I don't want to go down there at 200 mile an hour and have to turn to the right.
6th place race here. Ricky Rudd reaping up, trying to take 6 from Johnny Benson.
You think Rudd qualifies way back just to kind of so nobody notices him slipping up through the field?
Well, what it does, though, Darrell, I mean, it bites him at a place like this where you have these long green flag runs, because right now he has a fast race car. He's not as fast as his teammate, Dale Jarrett, but he's almost a half a lap down. You just can't get there even over the course of 400 miles.
All clear.
Well, Darrell, he's tried to win every other way the last few weeks and keeps getting snake bit, so maybe it's a new strategy. All right, we're getting into the green flag pit stop window. Jeremy Mayfield's already been in for an update on his teammate. Here's Matt.
Well, Mike, Bill Elliott continues to soldier his way back up the scoring pylon, currently in 11th position, but 25.5 seconds behind leader Dale Jarrett. His crew chief, Mike Ford, told Bill a few laps ago that the tire temps and the tires they took off in their first stop showed they were a little bit on the tight side, so they're going to possibly make a wedge adjustment on their next stop. But remember, this is a very important race for all the race teams, but especially the manufacturer. This is their playground. Just in the shadows of Detroit, a lot of bragging rights go on. Dieter Zetche sitting on top of Bill Elliott's pit box. He is the president and CEO of Daimler Chrysler. They won here in August. They'd love to win back-to-back wins. Have a lot of bragging rights when they go back to Motown on Monday. This is like for the race teams in Charlotte at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. The win there is huge for their family and friends, but the win here in the shadows of Detroit, it's big for all the manufacturers. I'm sure Dieter would love back-to-back wins.
Here's the thing about it. If you're a half a lap or more behind right now, you got a lot of pressure on you down there in the pit box right now, don't you, Larry?
You can't stand any more mistakes.
Well, and you got to decide. I could take 2 tires and stay on the lead lap. Now, do I do that and take a chance there's going to be a caution, which we haven't seen one yet, or do I bite the bullet and take forward?
And the drivers who have to make that decision, Darrell, from 10th on back: Bill Elliott, Ward Burton, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, Earnhardt Jr., Andretti, Dave Blaney, Kenny Schrader, Tony Stewart, and Kyle Petty. Those are the drivers that are more than half a lap, but less than a full lap behind.
I tell you, these two here, they've been battling for about 3 or 4 laps. Johnny Benson in the 10, Michael Waltrip in the 15. This is a battle for 7. It's been going lap after lap. We need to note Jeremy Mayfield talked about making his green flag stop. He'd actually been on pit road twice, so they have some sort of problem with that race car.
Matt Kenseth up there in the midst of this 7th place battle.
Well, he's got his car right on the bottom.
Matt started back in 20th, so we've been watching the monitor. He's had one of the top 3 or 4 fastest cars.
And then you can see what happens. On the bottom down there, you can beat a guy through the turn, but the guy on the outside running up high comes off that corner with a lot of momentum. He's got that great straightaway speed. It's hard to make that pass. Whoa. I love overhead shots. Look at that.
I mean, Michael was behind these two guys about a half a lap, three-quarters of a lap ago. Now he's in front of these guys, actually pulling away a little bit.
I think what happened was that the 10 car's getting ready to pit. And so he threw his hand up over there, and it confused him a little bit.
There he goes. He's on pit road. Bobby Hamilton in the 55 car. Joe Nemechek in the 25 car was just on pit road as well.
Benson is the first of our top 10 drivers to come to pit road. 2 or 4? That's the question.
Steve, believe you have to change 4, Steve Burns.
Johnny Benson, crew chief James Ince, he had a good race car. He said, free me up just a little bit. So take a little bit of wedge out. Half a turn out of the left rear and a half pound of air pressure for Johnny Benson. Joe Payette changing the rear tires. Johnny Benson is away.
All right, look, you saw the pit stop right there. I think that's the key reason you want to change 4. These guys are changing 4 tires almost quicker than you can dump these 22 gallons of fuel. So the 4 tires is almost free because you can't leave pit road here under green flag without being full of fuel.
Yeah, it takes 11 seconds to dump both cans. It takes 14 seconds to change 4 tires if your crew is on. That's the thing you got to be sure of. They got to be on.
John Andretti has made his pit stop, and here comes Jimmy Johnson. Johnson, the second place car, 2.5 seconds behind Dale Jarrett as he comes to pit road.
And that crowd may be rookies, but they don't think like rookies. They're not going to run him out of gas because he's got a great race car. They're going to get down there to the end and then gamble. Don't gamble
Pit
now.
road just goes on forever. 55 miles per hour. Dick Berger, how about the 48 car? Well, we all heard Jimmy Johnson tell his crew and then us that he was a little bit tight on too. After that, there were several conversations between Johnson and his crew chief, Chad Knaus, about what to do about it. They really didn't want to change this car very much because the car is running so very well. So the only adjustments, modest air pressure to the left side tire. Slow up front, clean in the grill, Johnson's car. But you know, Dick, I also saw him take a little bit of wedge out of the right rear, and how you take wedge out of the right rear, you screw down on that jack boat, that also raises the right rear corner. So they could actually fix both problems. Taking wedge out will free it off the corner. You raise the right rear corner of the spoiler up, that will help you get in the corner, not be as loose.
Steve Grissom, Brett Bodine making stops. We've been green flag all the way. 91 laps complete. 9 laps to halfway.
These are all scheduled green flag stops we'll be seeing in the next few laps. And now the teams in that first run, they know how much fuel they used. So you'll probably see teams go a little bit further this second run.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what we said about Bill. He knows exactly how far he can go.
But you have to be careful. You have to watch your lap times. If you're faster, you're using more fuel. If your car is pushing and not turning, the car's bound up, you're going to use more fuel. So you have to pay close attention to those things.
And these things burp about one time. You're going down the front straightaway here, and that thing starts to skip a little bit. You better get it on pit road.
Ward Burton is there. Steve Burns.
And Mike, 4-tire change for Ward Burton. They'll make a chassis adjustment in the left rear of that 22 Dodge of Ward Burton. Rodney Vedder's the jack man with a big pump, left side up, and tires going on. And Ward Burton is away.
Jeff Gordon, the 4th place car. Comes to the pit lane. Stacy Compton as well.
Just about like the first green flag stop. He was about 2 laps behind Jimmy Johnson, so everything's on schedule here.